in the center of the city, the way this is being set up, the violence which is being imposed on the Palestinians, is something that we don't want to have anything to do with. We never asked these people to reclaim our houses. They say we occupy ancient Jewish property.
Oh.
Hello.
Do you like the picture?
How old? How old?
أول قديش عمرها؟ Thank you very much. Yeah, I like it.
شفنا المينو تعال شفنا المينو مرة يلا
Diejenigen, die hier der Widerstand organisiert haben, die erste Intifada und die, sagen wir in 1995, als die alte Garde aus Tunis nach den Gebieten hier zurückgekommen ist, ein bisschen auf die Seite gelegt wurde. Und, aber die sind mit Marwan Barghouti und eine Reihe von anderer Persönlichkeiten, die sind die Politiker, die wirklich eine eine Unterstützung, eine breite Unterstützung, Glaubwürdigkeit und Legitimität in der Bevölkerung haben. Quaddura Faris hat 14 Jahre ist 14 Jahre in israelischen Gefängnissen gewesen, vom Alter von 18 bis 32, für seine Beteiligung an gewisse Aktionen während der ersten Intifada. Und er ist auch, er hat natürlich ein großes Netzwerk in dieser politischen Welt der prisoners. I'm sorry, my German is going down the drain because I never speak German here. And I haven't spoken German in years, but as a Swiss civil servant, you know, I'm supposed to speak German. So
It's the same with us
I'm
towards
trying.
French.
Sorry.
It's the same with us if we have to speak French.
Yeah, but you're not a civil. You're not a Bundesbeamter, so you have an excuse. I don't. Anyway, so Quaddura is a man who went through all the phases, you know, of resistance, military movement, resisting against the army. I mean, remember the first Intifada is very different from this one, in the sense that the targets of the militants were the police, the border police, the army, armed militias of the settlers, but not civilians, and the terror actions in Israel or against civilians were very marginal, practically non-existent. And he was not involved in terrorist actions, by the way. So he's a man who's immensely respected among prisoners. And, you know, all prisoners, implying not only Fatah prisoners, but also Hamas, Jihad, and all sorts of people. So he's also within the government of now Abu Mazen, but previously under Yasser Arafat and Abu Ala as prime minister. He was one of those who really had the contact with Hamas people, with Jihad, trying to negotiate. Quaddura Faris is the leader with Ahmed Hanem, whom we were supposed to meet after him, who negotiated the first truce, Hudna, with Hamas in the summer of 2003. I don't know if you remember, but not this summer, but last summer. Mario, we're going to Calandia.
Calandia?
Yes.
Okay, I'll see you when I can.
Here's a man who, after having spent the very best years of his life, you know, can say the vision for the future, the vision for our people is a two-state solution, a fair two-state solution, a fair deal on the refugee issue, which does not imply a massive comeback of millions of refugees to Israel proper, but a fair compensation, an acknowledgement of the suffering, and indemnization, and a deal has to imply on both sides concessions. You cannot get peace without making a serious effort. The interesting thing is, by putting the wall here, you actually leave on the Israeli side, a sizable part of the northern suburbs of East Jerusalem. Meaning that, you know, who tells you that, you know, potential terrorists do not live on this side rather than on that one? You don't know. The security implication here is a bit doubtful. But the other thing which is going on now and which is extremely troubling and worrisome for the Palestinians in East Jerusalem is a twofold evolution. One, the fact that all the land, now remember, the wall is, according to the government of Israel, is a provisional fixture. It has a validity of 5 years, and in 5 years, depending on the evolution of the situation, its need will be reassessed. All the land which is on the Jerusalem side of the wall has been declared absentee property because the owners, who actually are not absentees but live just on the other side of the wall, maybe a couple of hundred meters away, may not go back to their land. You know, they cannot pass, they don't get the permits. The property itself is transferred to the custodian of absentee property in Israel without compensation. So basically we're talking about thousands of acres, especially in the southern part of Jerusalem, whose property is being transferred from their rightful owners. They just realized a couple of weeks ago that they're no longer owner of their own land. So the land is transferred to the custodian, and it will be most probably turned into new real estate development for Jewish neighborhoods in Jerusalem, settlements. That's one troubling evolution for the people in East Jerusalem. The second one is that Palestinian inhabitants of Jerusalem may no longer go to Ramallah without a permit. You know, before, people from Ramallah could not come here. You can take the security, argument, saying, well, potentially we want to reduce the flow of potential terrorists coming to Israel. Fine. So these people may not come to Jerusalem. But what's the rationale behind making it impossible for the people of Jerusalem to go to Ramallah? So that's the feeling now in East Jerusalem, is that the city is being completely cut off from the hinterland, and nobody knows what's going to happen.
Are the people living here Israeli citizens?
No, they're not. They're not. They are. They have a blue ID card, which gives them practically all, the rights. They can go to Israel. They can travel freely. They don't have an Israeli passport. They have an Israeli travel document. Most of the time, they also have an old Jordanian passport of limited validity, and they have difficulties obtaining visas because.
Is this for the checkpoint here? I'm sorry.
Yes.
People.
We're coming close to Kalandia.
We are allowed to.
This is Kalandia, yes. The situation in Jerusalem is very special because Jerusalem was annexed by Israel, which is not recognized internationally, legally. The eastern part of Jerusalem was annexed. And so Israel considers East Jerusalem as Israeli territory. And it applies measures to that territory, which it does not apply to the West Bank or to Gaza. The offer in terms of real estate apartment houses is much less, much smaller than the demand. So the price of real estate in East Jerusalem for buildings of very low quality goes through the ceiling. It's very high. It's much more for a crummy apartment in East Jerusalem. You can have a house with a garden in West Jerusalem. But that's a deliberate policy. So people are faced with a choice. What do I do? If I want to stay in East Jerusalem, I have to pay a lease which I cannot afford. So people choose to move out of Jerusalem. That's what they did before. They were going to Ramallah or to the suburbs in the West Bank. But if the authorities realize that the people actually are living outside of the city boundaries, they lose their blue ID card and they may never regain it. So what they have to do is build without permit. And by building without permit, you expose yourself to the risk of a demolition order. And there are, at any given time in East Jerusalem, about 2,000 demolition orders pending. And I live just before the other small checkpoint we saw. I have seen around my house already 3 houses being destroyed. So, so that's for East Jerusalem. These are going to Ramallah, to the West Bank, these two, and the others are coming into Jerusalem. Now what we'll try to do is what I do sometimes, but there we'll have to hide the camera.
Yes.
You can still keep it here.
כן? שלום. יש לך כרטיס לצילום? יש כרטיס לצילום, הוא לא יכול לצלם פה בלי אישור, אתה יודע. כי זה שטח צבאי סגור. מה זה? אז הוא יכול לצלם איפה שהוא רוצה, אז אתה טועה, לא. אבל הקאמרה זה לא בפנים הרכב, שיצלם מהרכב, אין לי בעיה עם זה. שיכניס את הקאמרה בתוך הרכב. בכלל, אוקיי? שלא יצלם פה במחסום, בסדר? מה, הוא לא מצלם? שיכניס את הקאמרה, בסדר? שיכניס אותה פנימה עכשיו אבל. ביי.
I can tell you of my own experience. I have been to Nablus, I've been to Jenin, I've been to Gaza. I don't speak Arabic, I just speak a few words. And they all answer to me in Hebrew because they think I'm Israeli. I have taken Israeli people to, which is not very legal, it's not supposed to go to Area A, but anyway, some Israelis to Ramallah, to Jericho, to funny places I won't even name. And they were welcomed by the people. You know, they said it's great that you come, that you see, I believe maybe you will understand, you know, why it is also so difficult for us on this side. So people have shit. You can come across the occasional lunatic, you know, that's...
Exactly.
But
that's why I think we should have this car.
You've got to be extremely... You have to get an extreme bad luck because that very person must know that you are, you know, of Jewish origin.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I just, you know, that's the thing.
I don't get you wrong. I think it's great that you're coming. Really. I understand your fear. I go once a week when I have time to a writing club in Jericho. And we go to Jericho with the kids and the people say, oh, how nice, you come from Israel. Welcome back. You'd be surprised. I mean, it's... And this is not to say that there are no people here who want to, you know, target the first Israeli they can come across. By the way, this is Psagot, a settlement.
I'm not from Ramallah, from Tulkarm, the north. I came. I had to leave my home, Tulkarm, at 6 o'clock, and in the morning, and the road takes usually in the normal days before the Intifada an hour.
1
now,
hour.
Yeah. Now it takes 2.5
hours.
Yeah. Or more, even more, if that's there is no checkpoints, but yesterday there were no checkpoints. I reached at 8:30, but usually there are many checkpoints. Za'atar checkpoint, Atar checkpoint, Surda, Yeah, especially the last week before the feast. Yeah, the closure was very strict. I go home on Thursday. I come back on Saturday morning. My family lives in Tulkarm. I live alone. Yes.
Is this unusual of your age? Is this usual?
It was unusual, but now we have to live with this situation because students, girls or boys, they have to live alone. Because if you're not from Ramallah and you want to study in Bir Zayed, you can't come every day. So you have to take a hostel here and live in Ramallah alone without your family. I'm engaged.
You're engaged?
Yeah. I'm 23. He used to live in Jordan. He was studying there and I was living here. So we spent many times on chatting, many hours, 3 or 4 hours every weekend. Yeah, then we met and we are engaged now. If my parents rejected the subject, that would be a problem for me because their opinion makes a difference. Yeah.
Now, everybody I mean, you cannot decorate a house without a house. And you cannot build the decoration and put the furniture, everything in open air. I mean, you need the house first, you see, to build democracy.
We are not optimistic. We have little hope of our new president. I hope things will get better. Any agreement on the way will be for a short period of time, and things will maybe will get worse later.
What would make you trust?
First, we need to manage our, inside.
هاي
أنا حسن يا صاحبي
65,000 5000 هاي 70,000.
The Palestinians themselves need to manage their,
طب من وين مش مع زيتون؟
everything that in the authority, everything is messy. That it needs someone who's I don't want to use the word dictator.
بدي النيوزلتر القديمة والنيوزلتر الجديدة وفي الكتاب اللي نريد من الرئيس. عندكم هدول كلهم؟ بدي 20 نسخة من كل واحد.
And the corruption
In Palestine?
Yeah, especially with the people who are around the president. We all know that they are a problem. Especially, we hear many things about the corruption in the Palestinian Authority, and that needs to be solved soon.
And where should the dictator come from? Who would be this good man?
I don't know. It might be a romance, and he's not a dictator, but with these people, you need to be tough. Yeah. Because they are controlling and they are like